You ready to do this, Matt?
Yes, sir. Punch it, Chewy.
Welcome, super friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot is Matt Shaw. We're two nerds that just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 214. We release every Thursday morning. You can find us on the website, fortofnerd.com. We have links to iTunes, Google Music, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, everywhere podcasts are available. Stop by and relax a while. If you like what you're hearing, hit that subscribe button automatically and get us each and every week in your ear holes. Matt, what is going on? It is the last podcast of 2020. I feel good about that. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm great. I am feeling good about this entire episode.
Oh,
Very
yes.
interested and excited to see what you think and what your thoughts are on what I think as it pertains to 2020.
Yep.
It's been a year. Looking forward to a new one, as I always do. I mean, not just because 2020 was weird, but that certainly helps me get a little more excited about
Yeah.
turning over a new page. But life is good. Life is good. Um,
2020 is a weird year to kick off a new decade. That's all I got to
yeah,
say. Really weird
yeah,
year.
that's true. It's something. It's something. I mean,
Yeah. How was your week, though? I mean, this was a big week.
yeah, it was great. 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 It was a big week. But it was just me and Jesse and the kids. So it wasn't like we had a ton of events and people and things or anything like that. It
Right.
was super low key. It was chill. Like we had a great time with just us. Got to hang out and do whatever Christmas activities we wanted to do and skip all the stuff we don't really care about doing with, family around.
Yeah. Yeah.
That, you know, our tradition for them, not always tradition for us, which is
Hmm.
great. We get to do our own thing. So we had fun. Um, just kind of normal stuff. I tried to work as little as possible, but the nature of my job has me working every day. It doesn't really matter what day. So Christmas Day, I still probably sat down for 30, 45 minutes and knocked out as much as I could. So that it's kind of a bummer, but
Sure.
usually I can get all of it done before lunch or about lunch so that the rest of my day's freed up. But Christmas Eve, I didn't work at all.
Nice.
So we had a good time though. We just did, we made cookies, sugar cookies for Santa. Emmy had a great time with decorating them and getting them all ready. And we did we always do Chinese food, Chinese takeout on Christmas Eve.
Okay. Yeah.
So we went to our favorite place here. It's delicious, Szechuan, like authentic Chinese food. So part of the advantages of living in a multicultural city is you get good authentic food from most countries in a big
Yeah.
city
Yeah.
like ours. So we were blessed. There's great food in Utah too. I'm actually not gonna lie. There's some good food there. We just did all that kind of stuff. We did like the nativity at night, and we did the Charlie Brown Christmas special with
Yes.
Emmy, and kind of got her all pumped and excited. And then Santa did his/her prep work
Yep. Yep.
in the evening, which there's a little bit of prep while Jesse and I watched It's a Wonderful Life. And then we went to bed, and Christmas morning rolled around, and everybody got what they wanted and more and unexpected things. And it was a fun morning filled with lots of trash and cleanup and
Yeah.
toys and putting things together. Um, And that was really the whole day. And then it was just playing with everything. We were expecting to miss family more, or, where it's really going to get bogged down in the afternoon. No, no chance.
Not
We were
kids, not
busy
at
all
that
day.
age. Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. Just kind of, yeah, hanging out with just our little clan, our little crew here. And then after Christmas, it was just kind of hanging out. I took on the 26th. Is that Saturday? Was that Saturday?
Yes, that was Saturday.
So on Saturday, I took everything down. I timed
Oh,
it
really?
3.5 hours. I took all of the lights down, indoor, outdoor, every decoration, every
Wow.
ornament, Christmas tree, everything boxed up and put away in the entire house. And we've got a crap ton of Christmas stuff. And then I had to get everything else out that we had that was normal decorations for the house, put those things back up. And it took me about 3.5 hours, but got it
Wow.
done. So now we're in full normal mode.
See, I I understand, like I totally understand like that idea of like take down the Christmas stuff, like kind of get back to normal or whatever. But I also like I know that like our house is the most decorative and inviting and warm feeling that it ever is during the Christmas season. So like I delay. It's usually like the weekend after New Year's.
Yeah,
But like this year, I may let it go an extra week or so. I feel like I need a little bit more of that holiday cheer, that warmth, that wonderful Christmas spirit.
sure. Totally Christmas here. I'm a when it's over kind of guy. So I don't mess around with decorations.
Wow.
But which is why when Halloween's over, Halloween goes and Christmas takes its place quite literally.
Hmm.
It's just one to the next. And I don't know. I get so sad that Christmas is over that I don't like having Christmas around to remind me that like it's done.
Fair
So I
enough.
just like to get it out, clear it out. It's over. That's sad. But on to the next. So on to New Year's. But that's really been it. We've just been hanging out, watching some shows at night, just doing our thing.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Sounds good. Christmas here was kind of the same. I mean, we did have family over on Christmas Eve. My brother and his wife and their kids and my mom and her husband came over. And so we did Christmas Eve together, which consisted of we weren't going to do the Swedish meatballs, which is our in-laws tradition. We were going to do something else this year. And then kind of like the day before, Brita decided she wanted to do Swedish meatballs anyway, so
Mm-hmm.
we pivoted back to that. Um, but then, like, we stayed up on Christmas Eve and we watched It's a Wonderful Life as well, which we had to search a little bit to find the black and white version. I had it on DVD. I just didn't want to pull the DVD out. I was like, it's got to be streaming somewhere. And it was on Amazon Prime. But they
Nice.
also were streaming the color version. I was like, oh,
Right.
heck no. I'm not doing that sacrilegious crap. Like, no. It's got to be black and
Okay.
white, like it's the classic.
All
So
right.
so we did that Christmas Eve. Christmas Day was fine. Since we're doing kind of like a second Christmas with our in-laws that are in town. That'll be tomorrow from when we record this, but it'll be a couple days ago when the audio part of the podcast goes live. Um, we didn't have as much stuff that we opened up, which was kind of nice because we kind of kept it low key for the kids. Like I'm so used to like having like a few trash bags. Like we had
Yeah.
a single trash bag. That was it. I was like, "Oh, that's nice." However, like we're still got to go and like open up a bunch more stuff for the kids. So there's still
Right.
more coming. But the boys had a good time. They really enjoyed the stuff. They got a whole bunch of Legos. Like they each got like 3 or 4 Lego sets and then they got one together from like my brother and his family. And so I've actually spent a lot of time with the kids in the last couple days building all these Lego sets.
Fun.
And which isn't a big surprise for Jackson, my youngest, because he loves Legos. He calls himself the Lego master because he's like 6 and he can figure out pretty much everything, even if it's like well above like his like quote unquote age level.
Yeah.
Charlie hasn't really shown a lot of interest in Legos, but he really got into him. here at Christmas this year. So it's just been a lot of Legos. Of course, I mentioned my in-laws are in town, so we're spending time with them, and they're here. Um, we watched Soul on Christmas Day, and I don't know how I exactly feel about that movie yet. I kind of went, it's not a bad movie. It's a good Pixar film. It's not going to be, I think, a Pixar classic like, I don't know, like a Toy Story or like something along those lines.
Right.
It's not going to
Right.
be it's not going to be a Cars or something like that. That's gonna have all these beloved characters and this and that. But I went, it's a good movie, kind of reminiscent a little bit of Inside Out. But instead of dealing with emotions, it deals with the soul. And so there's some kind of like there's some interesting things that are presented. I don't know if you saw it or not, but
I did. We watched it Christmas night also.
I liked it. It just I know some people are like, this is amazing. For me, it just didn't strike me that way. But I didn't like not enjoy it. I think it's something that like if I watched it a few more times, I'd probably be able to make a more nuanced decision on how I feel about it. But right now I'm just kind of like,
Did you
it's
watch it
okay.
with your kids?
I did. I watched it with the boys.
Yeah.
So
So in seeing the previews, I was like, Jesse, we need to just watch this one by ourselves, I think. And I'm glad that we did because this is not a kids Pixar movie, at least in my opinion.
the
This
boys
is
liked it
much
though.
more. Well, that's good. I am glad that your boys liked it. They're much older than my Emmy is,
Yes,
and so
yes,
they
for
can
sure.
maybe understand it a little bit better or care a little bit more. But for me, that movie is the most adult Pixar movie to date. I mean, it's about a middle-aged man. There's
Right.
no like, there's no
Who's
kids
yeah.
about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's nothing. I mean, there's like the cute souls, but I
And
mean,
there's the
like a
cat.
little bit.
There's the cat. Like kids, like the kids, like oh the cat, and da da da. Like I get it though. I know what you're saying. Like it definitely is a more adult themed storyline.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, little kids, not as much. I get that.
Right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I
We loved it
totally
though.
I totally get that.
That's our opinion is fantastic, top tier Pixar. One of my favorites. Probably the most inspired I felt coming out of a Pixar movie. Not the most emotional I have felt, but perhaps the most
Right.
inspired.
I like I said, I want to watch it again. I liked it. I just it and maybe I was tired. Maybe it was that post Christmas day like oh my gosh, like we've been through the ringer feel and
Yeah,
now
yeah, yeah.
trying to
Oh
jam
yeah.
on a movie on top of it. But
Yep.
the other thing that went on this week for me, and this is kind of the last thing I've got in uh my roundup, is that we had Santa come and visit here on our Twitch channel this week, 2 days before Christmas, and
Yep.
that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun to have Santa here and to watch Santa, do the naughty and the nice list with a lot of young boys and girls and older boys and girls and do like Christmas sing-along songs and uh Christmas jokes and stories and Christmas movie trivia. Like it was something that I really enjoyed seeing, and I think that I might have to invite Santa to come back again next year to do it all over again because he seemed to enjoy himself and we had a good time with him here.
Yeah.
So,
My kids loved it.
yeah, I talked to a few people that said that they really enjoyed having it something to do on the 23rd with their young kids with Santa. And I think in the year of 2020, the way it's been, for some kids, that may have been the only way they got to see Santa
Right.
prior to the old
Yeah.
Christmas Eve shenanigans that he gets up to. So
Truth. Truth.
so yeah, so that was real good. But my week has been good. I'm not working. I'm looking forward to a little bit more time off through the end of the year before we get back to kind of the grind and all the normal things. So that was it. Like it's been good. It's been good.
Nice.
So Matt, I think it's time that we for the last time in 2020 to kill some boffins. What do you think?
Let's kill them.
I always have to let you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
All right, Matt, we are into Rebel Intelligence. What do you have for me this last week of 2020?
Well, let's talk more about the disasters that happened in 2020. Let's start again with Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, yes.
We're just going to do another one. Hopefully, this is the last thing we have to say about this game, other than, oh, they fixed everything. Okay. Hopefully,
Right,
this is the last
yes.
thing. This is not good news for them. On Christmas Eve, a class action lawsuit was filed against them in California by the Rosen Law Firm on behalf of one of their investors, one of CD Projekt Red's investors, Andrew Trempe,
Okay.
who bought stock and other securities with the company. They're talking and saying there was a reckless disregard of truth, that they're withholding information, that they were basically leading investors on, as well as the general public, obviously.
Sure, yeah.
And there are obviously many people feel this way. And CD Projekt Red's stocks have tanked to down like 42%.
Yeah, that's a big drop.
Since then. And when you're an investor and you've probably potentially put in a lot of money thinking that Cyberpunk was going to be a big hit, and you lose it. So
yeah,
we'll keep an eye on this. I don't know how successful they're going to be. Again, I am not a lawyer, nor do I play one on TV, nor on a podcast. However,
right.
CD Projekt Red sucks, and everybody hates them right now. So they're not in a good spot, and this is just another bad look for them. So we'll see what happens with it, if anything comes of it. But after all the delays, after seeing kind of what the gameplay footage was supposed to look like, and then you actually see it on a PS4 or an Xbox Series One or whatever it's called, Xbox X,
Xbox Series X,
Super One. It's not good.
Yeah, no, gosh, it doesn't surprise me that one of the investors, or it says class action, so probably a lot of investors are going to sue. That doesn't surprise me. I don't know it's hard to say, because they're going to have to really work really hard to prove like intent to mislead.
Right.
And I don't know how you go about doing that, but I definitely think that there's a lot of information out there that some of it may be pretty rough for CD Projekt Red. Some of it's just going to be circumstantial. Some of it's just going to be coincidental that things happen. But tell you what, I wouldn't want to be CD Projekt Red right now. I mean,
no.
It's
bad.
It's from what looked like a very promising, massive game release to the mess that it's become. They were probably hoping for a nice Christmas with a little bit of a break, and here's a lawsuit. Yep. So,
sorry.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah. Not great. Not great.
No.
Matt, I want to talk to you about HBO Max for a minute. So, surprisingly, I didn't bring this up, but I was given a 30-day trial of HBO Max. And so I have started it. I haven't watched anything on it, but here probably within the next day or two, I'll watch Wonder Woman 1984. Right. But I do, like, it is on my agenda of things to watch, probably while my in-laws are here with me. But here's something that's really interesting. We know that the streaming wars, a year or two ago, I would have said, there's the king, Netflix, and nothing else. I mean, Hulu and Amazon Prime Video or Prime Video are far behind. Then enters in Disney Plus late 2019 and then all through 2020. And we know how they're just kicking butt and taking names, and they're skyrocketing. I think in the next few years, Disney Plus is going to be the big winner. They're going to be the top of the heap. They're going to be king of the hill, so to speak, that everyone's trying to dethrone. But I'll tell you what, I've taken a look at the HBO Max, and it's only been around, I know, for like 6 months. But with all the things that they're trying to do with day and date release in 2021, and the more things they keep adding, I think HBO Max and, realistically Warner Brothers, it looks like they're doubling down and just pushing all their chips in on this streaming service. And it was literally just announced like right before Christmas, like Christmas Eve, I think, is that they said that coming in like early 2021, like beginning like January, like New Year's Day, that Batman the animated series, which is probably the best animated Batman, along with Batman Beyond, which is also very amazing, are both going to be available on HBO Max to stream in their entirety. So like they're not like releasing pieces. So like they're further pushing kind of the DC universe stuff, because you got to remember DC universe has kind of like their own streaming thing, but HBO Max and Warner Brothers is pulling stuff over, and they're making a play. And like I think because Warner Brothers has got a huge catalog, right? It's not just only HBO content, it's Warner Brothers stuff and all their subsidiaries. I really think that HBO Max has the potential to put up quite a fight, and I think 2021 could be a year where we see the streaming wars get even hotter than they've been. And I think the next couple of years, I think it's going to take a few years before we have the undeclared king of the streaming wars, which I'm going to say now I think it's going to be Disney Plus. But Warner Brothers, man, that HBO Max, I think it's going to be a contender. Yeah, I don't think it's there yet, but they're putting a lot of stuff, and day and date for this next year is going to be a big deal for them.
And we crapped on HBO Max for a long time, and for good reason.
For very good reasons, yes.
They sucked. They sucked bad.
Yes.
And it's not that they don't suck now, but it's that they suck less. And that their future plans are kind of exciting.
Yes. Yep.
Jesse has mentioned it as well, that like this is realistically a decent option for us if there's a movie. $15 and you get it for a month and you get a movie, that's less than we'd have to pay to go see in the theater.
Yeah.
And we get to sit at home and do it, and then watch as many episodes of Friends, which we have watched some HBO Max for Friends already.
Or whatever else they have,
like 20 shows that I want to watch on there, 20 shows and movies that they have that I didn't know that they had. So anyway, I'm with you.
We'll have to see, but
HBO Max.
Exciting news if you're a Batman fan, and definitely Batman in the animated series or Batman Beyond, like that's good news for you if you were already like looking at all the DC stuff and you're like, man, but I really got to keep this DC universe because I want to watch Batman the animated. Well, now you don't have to. Like it's coming.
Very nice.
Yes. What else you got?
Cobra Kai, y'all.
Ooh.
Cobra freaking Kai.
So excited.
By the time this drops, we'll be like 8 days away from Cobra Kai being released. Psych.
Yes.
Our man Johnny released a video on Netflix's YouTube.
Right. Yep.
Where we saw the January 8th day and he went, nah, too far away or whatever he said. Backspace, January 1st, we get Cobra Kai on New Year's Day in its entirety.
Yes.
10 beautiful episodes of Cobra Kai are coming so incredibly shortly. With the release of this podcast, we're talking tomorrow, y'all.
Yep.
And if you're listening to it in like 6 months, you've already seen it, you lucky dog. So that was like, it's not like a huge move up or anything like that.
No.
But any little fun thing like that, it just makes you happy.
Yep. I look at this and I'm like, this is like, once again, it's a smart move. You move it up a week. What does a week really matter to Netflix on their schedule, right?
Oh, yeah.
Nothing. But now you can be like, hey, look, on New Year's Day, start the new year off right. Here's Cobra Kai. And here's the thing too that Cobra Kai has done. And we've talked about this in the past, that it started on the YouTube Red, and then YouTube was like, we can't afford to have this, TV original series stuff.
Yeah.
So they were looking to sell it, and they had the whole third season in the can ready to go. And we talked about this. We said Netflix is the perfect place. Take it to Netflix, guarantee a fourth season, which they did. And then Netflix will get the rights to stream. And all of a sudden, I've been seeing all sorts of friends of mine across the Twitter sphere and podcast sphere and Twitch sphere all of a sudden like catching on to Cobra Kai because now they can stream the first two seasons. And so like it's had this huge resurgence because Cobra Kai's been around for a year or two, right? It's been around for a little bit, but now like everyone's really getting into this because new content is really hard to get in 2020. And then boom, now we're going to roll into 2021 and start it off with another season of Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Netflix played this right. I think this is a good move. As a fanboy, I'm excited for it a week earlier, but just from a business standpoint, like they did the right thing here. And I'm excited to see it, but I'm excited for all these new Cobra Kai fans, these Johnny come latelys. No, bad pun. But I'm excited for them because they get to follow up what was there with another season and get pumped for season 4 to come. Like that's exciting.
Yeah. It's awesome. I will say this. I wish it was New Year's Eve. I think that gives people more time to stream. Like if you think about it, because you're staying up until at least midnight, at least. At least that's what I was thinking about. I was like, gosh, Jesse and I don't get a lot of time at nights after the kids go to bed. It would be amazing for us to be able to watch like 7 episodes of Cobra Kai on New Year's Eve. But I nitpick and I whine, but who am I kidding? We'll probably stay up till midnight anyway watching Cobra Kai on New Year's Day, so who cares?
Right. Yep.
It's going to be awesome.
I got you. Here's the last thing that I have, because obviously the last week of the year, Rebel Intelligence, the Bothans don't have a lot, so we get what we can.
Yeah.
This is kind of in the rumor mill, Matt, and but there's enough to this that I think we should mention it. So I'm not going to get into this, but there is something big happened in the finale of The Mandalorian season 2. And I'm not going to spoil anything. But as we've been going along, Disney did something really interesting here just like this last week. On the official Star Wars Instagram account, they wished Samuel L. Jackson a happy birthday. And the message read, "The party isn't over. It's just beginning. Sending a very happy birthday to Samuel L. Jackson." Now, that could easily be looked at as very much just like harmless callback, right? Except if you remember one of his iconic lines from Attack of the Clones when he faces Count Dooku and Jango Fett, he says, "The party is over."
Yes.
And this is Disney saying the party isn't over, it's just beginning. Now, with the recent announcement that with the Obi-Wan series that Hayden Christensen's going to come back to play Anakin, there's been a lot of speculation that we don't see Mace Windu die. We see him lose an arm, we see him get tossed out of a window, but we don't see him die. So there's a possibility that maybe they could bring Samuel L. Jackson back in some sort of a role for this Obi-Wan limited series. Or maybe he comes back in the Ahsoka Tano spinoff or something like that. And of course, like, this is kind of all a buzz. I hear this and I'm like, okay, we didn't see this character die. If you can find a convincing way with not making it really super hokey and cheesy of saying like, this person didn't die and is still there, I'm okay bringing another character back into one of these upcoming Disney Plus shows. How do you feel about that?
I'm all in, especially for Mace Windu. Mace Windu being one of the coolest, in my opinion, Jedis.
Yeah.
That isn't like a main line.
Right.
Because I was like, oh, Jesse. Because I saw this too, and I was like, they're bringing him back. they're bringing Mace Windu back, my favorite Jedi. And I was like, except for Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Luke
Right.
Skywalker. But
Yoda,
anyway,
yeah,
long
yeah.
story short, he's awesome. And he has a purple lightsaber, which is this lightsaber color I always go for.
Yeah.
Um, I'm all in. I mean, they've already brought back Darth Maul.
Yep.
We know he didn't die when we thought he died.
Right.
They've already brought back Boba
Right.
Fett, who didn't die when we thought he died.
Yep.
So why not bring back Mace Windu, who didn't die when we thought he died?
I like this. I like all of this. I'm with you. Like, if you can do it in a good way, do it. Now here's the other thing I saw as well. This I saw today. So we know in the Mandalorian season 2, in the episode with Ahsoka Tano, she mentioned Thrawn, Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yep.
He was a character that first appeared in the Timothy Zahn books, Heir to the Empire, then Dark Force Rising, and The Last Command. They were a trilogy of books that were written in the early 90s that were kind of meant to be a sequel trilogy to the films, so to speak. Well, he wrote that character. That character was in what used to be called the Extended Universe. Then it became Legends, and then Dave Filoni introduced that character, and we got him in Star Wars Rebels. And now he's been mentioned in The Mandalorian. So we know that this character is there. Another character from the same book series, Mara Jade. That character is a character who was a one-time former, hand of the Emperor who did a bunch of the Emperor's bidding and then finds herself after the Emperor dies kind of on the outs with not a lot of place to go. And she inevitably, becomes like an adversary of Luke Skywalker because of what Luke did, but then eventually falls in love with him and eventually becomes Mara Jade Skywalker. Okay. Very popular, very, very popular character. And I've been seeing some rumblings that Timothy Zahn, who wrote that character, said that he would not allow that character to be used as any sort of cameo appearance, that if it was going to be used in any series in any way whatsoever, it had to be for a main character, someone with some significance and gravitas. And then I'm seeing that people are talking about Karen Gillan, who was in Doctor who played Nebula in the MCU, who's in the Jungle Cruise movie, not Jungle Cruise, the Jumanji movies. Yeah, Jungle Cruise, Jumanji,
Whatever.
Jungle Book, yeah. That they're looking at her right now to play the character of Mara Jade. I'm like, so we're talking about Grand Admiral Thrawn, and now we're talking about like who has the rights and under what circumstances Mara Jade could come out. And now I'm hearing some people talking about potential like casting ideas with a character that would make total sense for casting that role. I've heard a rumor that they could talk about possibly adapting the Thrawn trilogy of books into either a show or a movie, and that they're looking at it pretty hard. And of course, as a fanboy who's read those books, who think those books are amazing Star Wars books, like if you haven't read them, you really should read them. I love this. My only concern is it's still about that time period, about 5 years after Return of the Jedi or so. How are you going to get around the Luke and Leia part? Because they are and Han Solo, like they're main characters in those books. So I don't know how they do that. That's my only thing why I think it couldn't happen. But anyways, some interesting Star Wars stuff with the whole Mace Windu and Mara Jade, and I want some of this stuff to come true. Come on, 2021, bring me some good luck. Bring me some good luck. That's the last thing I had though in Rebel Intelligence. Did you have anything else?
I actually do.
Ooh, what do you got for me?
A real quickie. As of today or yesterday, Wonder Woman 3 has been given the green light, and Patty Jenkins will return.
Nice. I think I did see
just
that.
A little something to throw in.
Yeah.
Not a lot to say.
No.
But that's happening officially.
I'm kind of staying away from everything that says Wonder Woman on the internet right now, just because I haven't seen it yet.
Oh yeah,
so,
I haven't seen it either, but I also don't really care. But anyway, a third one's coming.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So, Super Friends, last week we talked about our favorite Christmas movie. We talked about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yes.
And then our question of the week was, what is your worst Christmas movie? Like, what Christmas movie do you not like to watch? And so we got some answers. So let's start like we always do over at our email. We'll go to fordofnerd@gmail.com. And we have Peter Christensen. He says, Dear Nerds, our Christmas was pretty chill. My mom visited the week before Christmas and we hung out a lot because all the usual Christmas activities are canceled in Seattle this year. We got snow on the 21st, but it was all gone by Christmas Eve, which same thing happened here, by the way, Matt. Says the kids got up around 8 a.m. on Christmas Day. I made pancakes and bacon. 8 a.m.'s not bad. We started at 7 a.m. So
I started like 6.
Not too bad. Anyway, pancakes and bacon, open presents after that. After presents, we had a double feature of Wonder Woman 1984. He says, confusing start, but a unique and memorable movie. I'm sure we'll discuss it more later. And Soul, beautiful music and ideas, some strange metaphysics, and a very funny voice acting and script. We finished it off with a big Christmas dinner of ham, mashed sweet potatoes, and green bean casserole, then watched Wonder Woman again with my mother-in-law. It was nice and chill, and I have this week off of work, so I'm loving this end to 2020. Regarding Netflix audio shows, so many podcast hosts have said how their audience asked for it to be on YouTube, even if there's no video content. Also, Spotify has been spending aggressively on podcast exclusives like Joe Rogan and The Ringer to lure subscribers. This is essentially the same product, but Netflix is already a content powerhouse compared to Spotify. Don't underestimate the value of people getting the content they want through the channel they're used to. That makes sense. He says, I don't have much to say about Christmas Vacation. I remember enjoying it as a kid, but my mom hated it and my wife hates it, so I haven't seen it in a long time. I'm sure I'll see it again someday, laugh hysterically, and feel bad about myself for doing so. I don't think there will be any more classics until something fundamentally changes in society and technology. And I mean this for all culture, not just Christmas movies. He says, there's too much content being created and aggressively promoted. Even historically great content gets swept away in the flood and never gets a chance of being beaten into our skulls like A Christmas Story, or Shawshank Redemption, or All I Want for Christmas Is You, or the gang of baby boomer Christmas songs that we've been stuck with for 70 years. Classics and tradition come more from repetition than quality, and nothing has a chance to get repeated, at least not society-wide. It's sad, but I think the fairly unified culture of the 20th century was a blip, and will have a very diverse, fractured culture for the time to come. I don't really have a Christmas movie I hate. There are a million sappy Hallmark movies that I'm sure I would be bored by, but I just don't watch them. Cheers and Merry Christmas, Peter Christensen. You know, Peter does kind of bring up a good point, right? Like, The Wizard of Oz is like a cultural touchstone, but if they played it on television every year since like it basically was released, or since like the inventions of televisions and people could have televisions, right?
Yeah.
And so like it's the same thing with like the movie The Ten Commandments, right? That always came out at Easter time. Like I remember watching that every Easter. Like I've seen that a bunch. I would imagine a lot of people have seen that a lot. Christmas songs, all those things, like we hear them. They're played nonstop. But like you do hear some new Christmas songs, and some new Christmas songs do make their way in. But Peter is right. A lot of the baby boomer generation Christmas songs, like those are considered like the classics, like the nostalgia Christmas, right? Like, you know,
right.
When you hear "Here Comes Santa Claus," you know, it's the Gene Autry version we're used to. It's not, you know, I don't know, Belle Biv DeVoe from the 90s or something like that. Not that I think Belle Biv DeVoe ever did Here Comes Santa Claus, but just a weird reference. So, anyway, for what it's worth. All right, let's go over to Twitter. At Ford of Nerd on Twitter. We've got Ryan Kubacki at RMK Buried Alive. He says Polar Express or Die Hard because it's not a Christmas movie. Just had to push the button of a certain host. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's to all the Super Friends. Ryan, first of all, we all know that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I've said it once, I've said it again. We know it is. But I definitely agree with you on Polar Express. Polar Express is a bad Christmas movie.
It's awful. And I hate it.
It's slow, and the uncanny valley look about it is just...
It's just creepy,
It's just too much.
Ugh,
too much. Yep. Tim Paulin at tpaulin20 says, pick any Christmas movie on the Hallmark Channel. Those are the worst. I feel like almost all the classics have been overplayed, except Die Hard. Wink. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. And I do agree. Anytime my wife fires up the Hallmark Channel prior to Christmas, I'm like, well, I'm out of here because I just can't stand.
Those are so fun.
To
you
watch
guys are
those.
Missing out on the fun of them.
No.
I love them. My father-in-law, our father-in-law.
I disagree.
They're so fun.
Disagree. All right, we got El Mico at Gizpicka. He says, can we all agree It's a Wonderful Life is boring and doesn't deserve the bandwidth it has in the streaming sites? I should have stayed on VHS where old people belong. No, Gizpicka, Mike,
I have no
El
words.
Mico. No, I love that movie. It's a classic. I watch it every year in black and white. It's such a touching story.
I mean, it is obviously a touching story, and surprisingly, it ages pretty well.
Yeah.
There's not a lot that you can't understand or that doesn't really translate to times now. However, there are some things that are, I don't know. It's an old movie.
Well, sure. It's a 70-year-old movie. Yes.
So is it slow? I would argue it's actually pretty well paced for a movie for that time period. However, I guess I can see where you're coming from with that. Are there things to make fun of in it? Absolutely. And I make fun of the silly parts every year, but it doesn't make it any less charming to me.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yep. I love it. Can't agree with you. Okay, but here's something I definitely can agree with. Skinny Matt at Skinny Matt K says, I'm just going to put this right here, and it's a picture of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation 2, Cousin Eddie's Island Adventure. I
didn't know there was a second, and I'm afraid.
Okay, that's how bad that movie is, Matt, that I know it's out there. I know how horrible it is from everyone I've ever talked to that's either A, seen it, or B, reviewed the movie, that even the National Lampoon people really don't put it in their, National Lampoon's Vacation series. Yeah. It's kind of like this offshoot thing, and it really only has Randy Quaid. It's really Cousin Eddie, no one else. It's its own thing. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe that's one, if we ever do a bad Christmas movie, review one year, maybe I was like, maybe we could go there.
Exists as well.
Oh, I know.
And I've never seen that one either. I saw that show up again this year. Every year I'm like, oh god, I can't even look at it.
Right.
Can't even look at it.
All right, the last one we got here is Side Hustle Ninja at dspin67. He says Home Alone 3, 4, and 5. Yep.
I think Home Alone 3 is actually kind of good. I'm gonna just say it.
Ooh.
Hot take. Home Alone 3 is actually okay. Other ones are not.
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen them actually.
In my opinion, they should have quit after 2, and 2 was even iffy at times. It's like
for the music and the meme that is the bird lady, you got to keep it, and it has Donald Trump. Come on, when are you gonna get the future president of the United States of America in a? It's weird seeing it.
Yep.
Iconic moments in that movie, and iconic
yes.
Not the best. Obviously, Home Alone is better.
Sure,
but there's a place for Home Alone 2, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's fine. 3, 4, and 5.
more.
No,
Yeah, you
hot,
don't
hot
need it. Once you
garbage.
lose Macaulay Culkin,
Yeah,
it's
you're
over.
you're
Just let
done.
it die. If Catherine O'Hara's not in it, it's not Home Alone. So
It's
just
like the same
stop.
thing when like the Karate Kid. Once Ralph Macchio was done, and they're like, we're gonna bring in Hilary Swank and try to keep the Karate
Right.
Kid. No,
Nobody cared.
no, just stop, just
Do
stop.
something else.
Yes. Do something else. Anyway, super friends, thank you so much for answering our question of the week. We love hearing from you every week. It's the reason why we ask the question is because we spout off all of our opinions and what we think on things, and we love hearing back from you and hearing whether or not you agree with us or disagree with us or have a completely different take that we weren't even thinking about. There's a lot of times you guys come with something and I go, oh man, I missed the boat on that hard. I got to reevaluate. I love that. I love your interaction. And I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for helping us keep this going week after week, but most definitely in 2020, because you've come out of the woodwork to give us some really great answers this year in a very tough year. So thank you so much. But Matt,
Yes.
2021 is right around the corner. How can our super friends help us in the new year of our Lord 2021?
Thank you for listening, commenting, subscribing, earhole hearing, and all the other things that you do as it pertains to the podcast. We appreciate you. And thank you for a great 2020. Though the year was wild and crazy, we came at you every week with hot takes and hot garbage and good takes and
Very true.
not garbage too. So the train keeps on chugging down the track.
We don't stop.
No, can't stop, won't stop. So thank you very much. This week on New Year's Eve, when that clock strikes midnight and you think we're entering a new era, this is my year. Find someone you love. Give them a big old kiss like you're supposed to. Not a little peck, not a little. Give them like at least a 2-second kiss. And then just go to bed.
And then yell Jumanji and get us out of this game we're currently trapped in 2020. That's what I'm saying. Yell Jumanji
if
at
everyone
midnight.
Yells Jumanji, we'll probably be okay.
So I'm saying, if all the super friends yell Jumanji at midnight and get us out of, like, I think we'll be okay, Matt. I really do.
We'll be all right. We're gonna make it through, everybody.
I think we'll
did
be
make
fine.
It through.
We did.
Anyway, thank you.
Okay, Matt. This
Yes.
is like, I was telling this to someone just today. I said December is a really kind of easy month for us when it comes to the podcast, only because we know how things are going to go. We're going to do a Christmas movie club in the month of December. We're going to do a Christmas episode in the month of December. And then to end the year off, we're going to do our wrap up of the year. And so we knew what was coming down the train weeks ago. We are going to recap our favorite things of 2020 and our horrible worst things of 2020. Now, I think, and then we'll look ahead a little bit, just a little bit to 2021.
A tease.
A tease, yes, I agree. But I want to say, like, right off the bat, we are talking about things inside of nerd and pop culture. So I think we can collectively, as the co-hosts of this podcast, say that, of course, we want the COVID pandemic to end. We want to see that go away. We want to see a return to normal life. Like, that's obvious.
Yes.
So we're not talking about those things. We're not talking about political things. We're not, like, that's not this podcast.
No election. No COVID.
Yeah.
No people dying. No masks. We're not talking about it. It ain't happening.
We all understand. We all want those things to go away. But we're going to talk about the things in nerd and pop culture this year that hit really hard and were really good, and the things that hit really hard and we wanted to hit back at them because they were not good.
Yeah.
So let's just kind of go, Matt. I'm guessing you and I are going to have a lot of the same things. So do you want to start? You know what? No, let's start with the bad, so then we can end on the good, and then go into the preview of 2021. I feel like that would be a riding the wave of, like, not great into amazing. Yeah.
Let's do it. I like it. All right, so I'll start us off with my One. So, yes, we're going to be in nerd and pop culture, but also life a little bit, at least with some of my stuff.
Sure.
So, my number one bad is the Olympics being canceled.
Oh,
That
yeah.
really sucked.
Yeah.
That was a major bummer. I love the Olympics, and I know probably most everybody listening enjoys the Olympics.
Yep.
And having that canceled was like, it was a gut punch, right? It was a bad year.
Yeah.
We didn't really know how bad still, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It wasn't good, and then the Olympics got canceled, and it was like, wow, this sucks.
Well, I
So for
think
me, that was one of those things. I was like, ugh.
the Olympics is like a time when like whole countries, nations come together to cheer on their athletes and like
Yeah.
give you something to be proud of. And, it's like, man, we could have used that in 2020
Yes.
more than probably any other year in recent memory.
Right.
And we didn't have that. And so, like, I agree. Like, that's a bad thing. Like, it's bad that it got
That was bad.
canceled. Now, we agree, like, it was the smart thing to do and all that, sort of thing. But, like,
Still sucked.
but it sucked that it wasn't here.
Yep.
I'm gonna start off with the fact that we didn't get any blockbuster movies. No Star Wars, no Marvel, no big blockbuster movies because the whole basically movie franchise, movie theater system was closed down for almost all of the year. I mean, you could say Onward at the beginning of the year and like Sonic were like,
Sure.
but like realistically, like no Star Wars, no Marvel, no like none of the big tentpole franchise things that we look forward to every year that are going to help boost up that industry, get that box office number nice and healthy. Like we didn't have any of that. We didn't have a chance to go sit in a movie theater and eat popcorn and see the latest superhero movie or swishing of lightsabers. That's bad. I really hated that this year. That kind of sucked.
Yeah, that was a bummer. And that's on my list is blockbusters and shows
Yeah.
were all moved.
Yep.
We got nothing and it was hard and it sucked and it was a bummer and
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
And we'll talk maybe about some of the good things soon.
Right.
There's a positive to everything being
Sure.
moved as well. So, but that was a sucky situation.
Yep.
Lots of things we were all looking forward to this year, just like dust.
Right. Sand through the hourglass. These are the
Yes.
days of our lives.
Amen. So the next one I've got is the passing of Chadwick Boseman.
I had that on my list too. Yeah.
That sucked.
That
We had
sucked.
a whole podcast dedicated to Chadwick Boseman, and we talked about his influence in obviously nerd and pop culture, but his influence in life, in the Black community, in movies, in
charity,
life.
Yeah.
Just being a boss. And that was a sucky thing that happened this year in the nerd pop culture and life in general. That was a bummer.
Yeah, that was a real down moment. I know it hit a lot of people differently, but I think it hit everyone pretty hard because it also kind of felt like at that point, I want to say like everyone was really kind of tired of feeling like everything was being taken away and the pandemic is just like reaching this fever pitch and it was like no end in sight, nothing positive to look forward to. And then when Chadwick Boseman passed away, like it just felt like a gut punch. It really felt like a gut punch. I'm gonna go into something that's video game related, and I gotta say the next gen console release, with the way that release was botched, with no like at midnight, this is when you can get it. Like Xbox and Sony were playing this cat and mouse game of like who's gonna blink first,
right, who's gonna flinch,
who's gonna say what's happening. Like it just the whole console. I mean, I'm gonna put it to you this way: it is the 28th of December when we're recording this. I was trying to get a pre-order of the console in September when they announced it, which is a really late release window for pre-launch. And then they're like, oh, and it's available tomorrow. And then retailers started releasing it that day, and they're like, okay, well, floodgates are open, people couldn't get in, bots. I mean, just it. unfortunately, it just mired the whole next gen console in a whole bunch of negative press because it was a botched release on both of the major console manufacturers. So that was a really crappy thing in 2020. Not good.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
Yeah.
Um, I can't complain as much as you because I ended up getting a PlayStation 5. Um, However, the launch of both was
Ooh,
just a mess.
it was
I was
bad.
in I was in Disney World and we were texting, I think, or talking, or we talked shortly thereafter. And I was at Disney World and I was still paying attention and I was on
Yeah.
my phone trying to get one. And I was pissed because I'd set aside the
Yeah.
correct time
Yep.
to make
Me
sure
too.
that I was online. And then I got screwed because we had a dinner that we had to get to. And I was like, man, F you, Sony.
Right.
So screw you, Sony. Also, thank you, Sony, for giving me a PlayStation. Anyway,
Right. It's on both lists for you this year.
it's on both lists this year. That's true.
Yeah.
So for my next one, it's that again, we're not making any statements either way. This sucks. That Disneyland is still closed.
Yeah.
That's a bummer. And that Disney World was closed for such a long time. That theme parks, which is a part of kind of our world and the pop culture,
Yeah.
the Disneyland, the Disney World, the Universal,
Yep.
kind of those visiting those places is important to our community, the Super Friends, and it is to us. And those things being closed was another one of those kind of sucker punches that was like snapping you into reality of 2020, where it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, no fun allowed,
Nope.
only sad crying.
Oh, little kids sitting outside the gates with their arms on the bars, face pressed into it, just going, why?
Yeah,
Why?
so sad.
Oh, yeah.
Again, of course, all these things that we're talking about, like probably the right decisions that happen to be, in coinciding with the pandemic, which is a lot of what we're going to be talking about. Mentioning. I get it, but it doesn't mean it doesn't suck.
Yep. No, it sucks.
It sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
And Disney World is open and good for them, but you still got to wear masks and there's still social distancing and the virus is still out there and it still sucks.
Right.
So it is what it is.
Yep.
But that was one thing on my list that was like, ugh.
Oh, horrible. Horrible. Okay, the next thing I had on my list, no San Diego Comic-Con, no New York Comic-Con, the whole like Comic-Con convention scene. I mean, even the local one here that Breed and I had tickets for, FanX, was canceled. And then like these virtual cons, like San Diego Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con tried doing these virtual things, and like people didn't know about them. People forgot about it. It wasn't like well done, and there was like no real hype. And of course, there was nothing to really show off in for a lot of these things, and so some of these people just kind of did their own things, and like not having conventions this year, no TwitchCon, like it just not having conventions, I think, for nerd and pop culture, that's a big moment in the year, in our kind of realm that we're in, right, in our world, so to speak. And to not have that, and to watch like San Diego Comic-Con, like they had time to plan it, and it just became this big nothing, this big goose egg. Like it just, we understand, we understand the reasons, we know why, but still, some people did it right. San Diego Comic-Con did not. New York Comic-Con, like all the canceled cons, right. And just, that was a bummer. That was a real big bummer this year in 2020.
I agree. I have on my list Comic-Con, the Comic-Con at home was a failure.
Yeah. Yep.
They sucked at doing
yep.
that. That was awful. I mean, as the year has progressed, people have found ways to make successful virtual presentations.
Yeah.
Comic-Con was awful.
Yeah, yeah.
Just what it was terrible.
With
all
the money they have and could have done things with.
Right.
They just fumbled it. I mean, they just fumbled it.
Let's just say it like it is. Yep. They did a terrible job and it was a mess, and we really better have a killer one this coming year at some point during the year. We don't know what it's going to be like and what it's going to look like and all that stuff. but it has to be. We got to figure something out, right?
I mean, I would think so.
Right?
I would think so. Anyway.
So, exactly.
Anyway.
Anyway.
It'd be real easy to focus on the negative stuff here, but we do want to get through that so we can get to the positive stuff.
We will talk about the positives.
Yeah.
So here's a negative thing, and this is kind of a thing, but I remember seeing this and just rolling my eyes. The Imagine video from the celebrities when they sang Imagine.
Yeah.
That is a low point.
Yeah.
That was like a joke and a half. And I thought, this is where we are.
Yep.
Where I've got celebrities singing a song at me. For what? For why? For coronavirus? What is happening? Why are you doing this? I don't care. Have fun in your mansions with your servants or whatever it is. and just shut up for just a little while. Just shut up.
Yep.
Like, people are dying and life is hard. And I don't need to hear you be singing Imagine at me. Oh. So for me, that was like it was so bad. It was so cringy. It was so tone deaf, I feel like. It was dumb. I get they were trying to do something good, I guess. It was terrible. It was stupid.
Yep. I'm with you. Okay, here's the next thing I have. The Last of Us 2, the leak. So because all the game industry, like, they were trying to like finish games up and there was this crunch, and then people had to go home and they're trying to work from home and not getting things done. Like, The Last of Us 2 got leaked and big narrative story points were leaked. Some of it was correct, some of it was wrong, but it started off this whole thing where like it was dividing the video game player base on whether or not gamers wanted to get this game or not. And unfortunately, like, a big narrative game like that, just, you can't spoil it. You can't take things out of context. You got to let people experience the journey. Journey before destination. Okay, it's the journey that matters. And like that whole leak and all the mess that went along with it, like that, it feels like forever ago because that was like, way earlier on in the beginning of the pandemic. Yeah. But still, that was a low point this year in 2020, especially for gamers that have been waiting for years and years and years, is to see that game leaked. Like, that was brutal. I hated seeing that. That was bad 2020.
That was bad. Yeah. Bad look for you, 2020. Like, come on.
Get your act together, son.
That was rough. You're right. That was rough.
Yeah.
I'm going to come out as the resident mega Nintendo fan and say there were 0 Nintendo Directs this year. That's never happened. 0. None. Yeah. Nothing. There were like little tiny like mini direct where they announced a whole lot of nothing that no one, or like a little direct about Animal Crossing or about Super Smash Brothers, but there was not a mainline Nintendo Direct. We got nothing. Yeah. 0. It was like Sony. It was the Sony and Microsoft show as far as showing off new content.
Probably. I mean, I get why this is like on your bad list of 2020, but in all fairness, probably good that Nintendo got out of the way of Sony and Microsoft and let them take all the negative, because they took all the negative. That's for sure.
Plenty of negative to go around with those two. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But as somebody who's a special Nintendo, I don't know. It sucks that it's been since September. I totally get it. That we got a Nintendo Direct. It's been a very long time.
Yep, I totally understand that.
That was a stupid 2020. Stupid.
All right, here's the last thing I've got for my negative recap in 2020. Christopher Nolan's Tenet. Him trying to force movie theaters to open in the middle of a pandemic, insisting that his movies have to be experienced on the big screen. Like, that just, to me, was dumb. It was a dumb idea. And for a director to try to have like that much pull, like, theaters opened up and then lost money on top of the fact that they'd already been losing money.
Yeah.
The movie Tenet, while I'm sure is great, I haven't seen it yet. Um, it lost lots, and I mean lots and lots and lots of money. The bravado and the hubris to try to say, in the middle of a global pandemic, I think people should be heading back to the theaters because my movie is that important.
Right.
That's bad on Christopher Nolan and on anyone else that's involved with that. Like that never should have been done. As much as we were upset to see things, get pushed and pushed and pushed and then eventually just released on streaming platforms, I'm okay with that in comparison to, hey, let's try to convince people that they need to go back to the movie theaters just cuz I'm that arrogant that I feel my movie has to be seen that way. I don't like that. That was dumb. That was bad 2020. That's the last thing I have on my bad 2020, and I'm ready to get on to the good stuff. So anyway, that
On to the good stuff.
did you have anything else that's bad 2020 that you wanted to
I
mention?
did. I had one last thing, which
Okay.
is that Johnny Depp lost his role as Grindelwald. That was
Oh,
bad
yeah.
2020.
That's bad
Whether
2020.
whether or not the things are true, whether or not how we feel about Johnny Depp, um, his Grindelwald is great, and it sucks.
Yeah.
That was another crap 2020. Come on, man.
Kind of feels like the cancel culture kind of.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, I'm not a fan of that either. Let's get on to the good that did happen in 2020, because
Yes.
even
Let's
though
do it.
2020 was a rough year for a lot of people in a lot of respects and a lot of industries, there was some good stuff though that came out in 2020. So why don't you kick us off with something that was good?
Let's talk about let's pick from my list. Let's go from as early as I have on here. I'm going to talk about the TV show / series The Last Dance with Michael Jordan.
Oh
That
yes.
could not have come at a better time.
Oh yes.
Everyone was watching, everyone was tuning in. There was no sports to watch. There was nothing going on. So the fact that we had a show that we could all enjoy about a legend, that
the
seemed
GOAT.
fun. It felt like we were all watching it together,
Yep.
That was special, good 2020 for me.
I loved that because I lived through that. I was in Chicago through all of those years, and especially in the end there. And so, like, to see that, like, it helped transport me out of where I was and what I was doing back to what I was like at the end of like my teenage years. And Michael Jordan and Chicago Bulls were going for their 6th title, and it was that last season. Like, it was a transformative moment that pulled me away from all the stuff that was going on in 2020. And you're right, that was a really good moment in 2020. I really did like that. Good call, Matt. Good call. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back towards the beginning of the pandemic as well. John Krasinski and the web series he created on YouTube called Some Good News.
Yes.
This was something that I wasn't looking for, but when it came and like it hit, people were just craving for any sort of like positivity, something to look forward to, some good news. And he did all these things where he was celebrating frontline healthcare workers and people that were doing good in their community or helping people. Like he only did like a handful of like 6 or 8 of these things, but like every single time I would watch that, like I would get a tear in my eye because he was just highlighting all the positive things in the world around you. And it was kind of that moment where like it made me remember that, like, even when things are negative and things are bad and that your world may feel like it's crashing in around you, if you open your eyes and you actually look around you, you can see so many wonderful, beautiful things that we have in this life. And John Krasinski just like laser focused that attention onto that. And I really, really love that. That for me was good 2020.
That was great. That was on my list as well. Some good news. Yeah, he just released a Christmas one.
I know. Oh, so good.
So some good news was great. I looked forward to it every single week. I mean, he only did a couple of, and then some bad 2020 happened where he said, I'm going to make money off of this. I'm going to sell it. But anyway, we don't have to go down the bad
Right.
part of it. We're going to stick with the fact that it
Right.
happened. That it was good.
Yep.
And it made us all smile.
Yeah.
During some pretty rough stuff. So the next thing I'm going to go with is I'm going to stay at the beginning of the pandemic too, actually.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with, this is actually throughout the whole thing, the emergence of video on demand.
Yeah.
To me, this is good 2020. Some people may disagree with me, and that's okay.
Sure.
But for me, this is good 2020. The fact that I could just watch Scoob at home with my family. That was the first one that we did. It was supposed to be like a major release, and Onward being put right onto Disney Plus.
Trolls World Tour.
World Tour.
Yep.
Mulan being available for $155,000 extra or something like that.
Right.
And then Soul, obviously, just recently.
Yeah.
And there have been a number of other ones where there have been simultaneous releases. And for me, I'm all for it. And obviously, so is HBO and Warner Brothers, because they're like, we're going to do this for next year. And we're going to see how it works. So to me, video on demand or simultaneous release, whatever you want to call it, that's a good 2020 move. And I know people are going to cry a foul that love the movie theater, but the movie theater is dying. Everyone's so sorry to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Here's something else I have that's good 2020, but it's good in the sense like when you drive by a car wreck, you can't help but look.
Okay.
When you see a train wreck, like you want to see like how bad it is. I'm talking about Tiger King.
Yes.
Tiger King, like it just hit at the like if that thing had like hit in 2019 or late 2021, any other time, I don't think it would have been nowhere near as popular. But when the whole world was being sent home, locked down, you can't travel, and you need something to do, and all of a sudden, here's this Netflix series about this gay redneck, zoo owner who is going to prison or went to prison for an attempted murder assassination plot. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It came out of nowhere, and like I couldn't stop watching this. Like Breeden and I would be up way late at night, like, we just got to watch one more. Click, and watch another one, because it was just like, it was that moment. Like you couldn't believe what you were watching, and some people may want to call it trash TV, and I understand that, but let me tell you, Tiger King gripped, and I mean gripped, the nation there at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yes.
And it had people talking about stuff other than the pandemic. That was, even though it's weird, that was good 2020.
That was great 2020, man. That might be best 2020.
Oh, man. I'm good.
Tiger King was on my list, though I categorized it in just what I'll say for my next one, which is surprising TV shows that either I discovered this year or that came out this year that were really surprising. Never Have I Ever from Netflix, Home Before Dark, and Ted Lasso from Apple TV Plus, Lock and Key and Tiger King from Netflix. And then finally, a show that Jesse and I discovered this year that swept the Emmys in the comedy category is Schitt's Creek.
Yeah,
I cannot
got
say
on that this year
about how incredible that show is. That is top tier comedy. It is happy. It is feel good. It's everything you didn't think it was when you hear the title, but it is perfection. So if you have not had a chance to watch that show, there's a reason it swept the Emmys. And when you look at the cast, you're going to go, oh, wow, how have I not watched it? Chris Elliott, and it's got Catherine O'Hara, and it's got Eugene Levy. And it's a father-son combination of like directors and writing partners who made the show, and like Eugene Levy's son and daughter are in the show. Like it's a family affair. Go watch it. Do yourself a favor. have a good cry or two. It is probably my favorite show that I discovered in 2020. It's over now, so
Right.
sorry.
It's on my list. I like it.
It needs to jump all the way to the top. It's so good. I just wanted to give a special shout out to Schitt's Creek for how good it is.
Fair enough. Fair enough. The next one, I'm going to talk about some community video games, specifically Fall Guys and Among Us. Now, even though Among Us came out in like 2018, 2020 everyone started playing that game. That's really when like it caught on and like everyone started playing that game. And it's a combination of like playing the game Mafia, Secret Hitler, Wolves, except it's online and you're these like little cutesy characters that go around, and if you're the imposter, you're trying to murder all these other like little spacemen on these ships or space stations. And then you just sit there and accuse your friends and argue about who's the imposter, who's not, and the word sus for suspect. Like, hey, that suspect. Right. You say like, hey, dude, you're totally sus. Like that whole thing, Fall Guys, like this little game that came out of nowhere that was given away for free. Like it was bringing people together. People were playing these community games, Jackbox, stuff like that. Like community games in 2020 became a big thing because people wanted to get together, and you couldn't get together and play a board game, or you couldn't get together and play a video game, or a card game or whatever. And so there was these few kind of big community games that really kind of caught on in 2020, and that was good 2020. Like it's something that brings people together in a way that like a normal video game like a shooter or something isn't necessarily going to do. Cute, fun to play, really attractive, bright colors, easy to pick up and like get grandma to figure out how to play along with you. So yeah, there were some community games I think that were good 2020.
Nice. I like that. I played Fall Guys a bit. I haven't gone back and played it in a while, but I've still never played the other one.
Among Us.
Among Us. Thank you.
Yeah, we need to change that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll see. That's unlike my Die Hard thing now, where I just don't want to play it because everybody else is playing. The next thing that there actually are more good things than bad things on my list.
Me too.
I was able to come up with more good things.
Yeah, me too.
I'm just gonna go with, and this may be somewhat controversial to people as they listen. The Last of Us 2 was amazing.
Yeah.
That is the good of 2020. Definitely for me, the best game I played this year. And that's high praise because there were some really great games that came out this year that I got to play. But I've never been on a journey like I was with The Last of Us 2. The delays and the leaks and all of that happening, and that was all bad and frustrating, but the game came and it was fantastic and I loved it and it was well executed and it was everything that Cyberpunk 2077 is not.
Right.
Flawless performance.
I agree. That was great 2020. Hands down. I'm totally with you. I'm gonna stay on video games here for a second of something I think was great 2020. Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Yes, on my list
too. I mean, here is a game that's an established franchise that's gonna have the Nintendo fanboy fangirls that are gonna like go out and get that. But it really became this thing where all of a sudden everyone, like, I had no intention of getting this game. None. And then like literally like 2 days before release, I'm like, maybe I buy this game? Give it a try. And then I bought it and my wife saw me play it for like an hour or two. And she made me go out and find another Nintendo Switch so I could buy another copy of this game because she wanted to have her own island. Like Animal Crossing New Horizon was this perfectly timed, and I think that's key here.
Yeah.
Perfectly timed game that allowed people to forget about the pandemic and just live out an existence on this little island with Tom Nook, Mr. freaking Slumlord, who's, trying to, get you to pay, inflated prices for things, but you get to like create your own little island and set things up how you want to it. And like, it helped people like just kind of like relax, calm down, and be transported to their own little private island. And
Yep.
it like I don't talk to my sister a ton, like one of my sisters a ton, and she had Animal Crossing and I had it. And so like we get on the phone and we talk and we visit each other's islands and see what she was doing, she'd see what I was doing, and like
Yeah.
it brought together a lot of people, like we were getting together with people and like, trading turnips and jumping on other people's islands
Yes.
and trading fruit. Like it was a perfectly timed game for just turn your brain off for a little bit, forget what you're doing, relax and have fun. And Animal Crossing New Horizons, that was great 2020 for me.
That was fantastic 2020.
Yeah.
Benefited from the Tiger King
De-
like time period.
definitely. Yep.
It came out March 20th.
Yeah.
Like, and a perfect game for it. It's not just like a game released. No, the perfect
Yeah.
quarantine game came
Yeah.
out. And you know this, and any super friend who listened to the podcast since I've been on knows how I feel about Animal Crossing. That well before the pandemic, this was
Right.
something that I was shockingly excited for.
Yep.
And we bought Jesse, or Santa got Jesse a Switch last year
Right.
in
Yep.
preparation for Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
That's how well prepared we were for that game.
Yes.
And we're hundreds of hours in between us, so
Yeah.
we're grateful for Animal Crossing for sure. My next one is I'll just call it Finding a Way.
Okay.
And really, what I have is college football finding a way to
Ah.
play.
Okay.
But you can do that for anything. What we learned from the pandemic is how to adapt as a culture, as a society, as individuals, as families, as businesses. We all learned to adapt.
Sure. Yep.
Whether that's the NBA playing in a bubble, whether that's Disney World adapting to new guidelines, or that's films getting stricter, but everybody kind of getting back to work, I guess, is my kind of thing. Like people working hard at what they do and going above and beyond to bring us entertainment and to provide jobs for other people. Um, for me, college football is very, very important for my
Right.
mental health. And when I could wake up every Saturday and turn on College Game Day on ESPN and hear the theme song, it felt like everything was normal and I was going to be okay. Even though there were so many protocols and like there were no fans at most of the games and all of that stuff, it still helped me feel like there was some sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
So shout out to everyone who worked hard to make those things happen. And for all of those college kids and the NCAA and people working on films and TV shows that went through those really tough quarantines and protocols to get things back on schedule. Way to go. Claps
Yeah.
for everyone who found a way to make it work and being safe. From what I understand, nobody has been hospitalized that's an athlete.
That's
So
good.
thank
Yeah.
goodness everybody worked really hard to keep everyone safe. So good job, everyone.
Yep. I like that. My next one, the Disney investors call.
Yeah, big one.
That was a big, big positive for 2020.
Yes.
Disney came out of the gate saying, like, look, we know that some of these conventions and some of these other things didn't go off this year, but we're going to come out swinging and we're going to talk about all the new Marvel content that's coming to Disney Plus, all the new Star Wars content that's coming to Disney Plus, all the new Disney and Pixar and like it just felt like they were just like, I mean, we had a whole episode about this and we maybe covered half of the things that they talked about.
I know.
That was just a plethora, like an outpouring of fun things that like Disney, Star Wars, Marvel fans just like needed to hear in 2020.
Yep.
To see like, hey, there is light ahead at the end of the tunnel. There's a lot of good stuff coming up. I mean, WandaVision is just around the corner.
Oh, I know.
And so the Disney investors call for me was great 2020. Like that was 2020 when it was like shining and being like, look, we're okay. We're okay. We're gonna be fine.
Yep. That was 2020 as it was coming to a close too. So
Right.
they had that benefit as well.
True.
But that was easily the best like announcement.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, or convention or comic, way better than anything we had all year.
Yep.
Far and away.
Yep.
Disney blew everyone out of the water. And speaking of blowing things out of the water, it doesn't really make any sense. But I'm going to give a shout out to the heart musician of 2020. And that is the fact that we got 2 surprise album drops from Taylor Swift in 2020.
Yeah.
I know that maybe some of you aren't Swifties.
I'm not.
You gotta respect a musician who's going to put out 2 albums full length, like for real records in 2020, and announces it's released at midnight. Like, that's legit. When you have the star power that she has, and you can change on a dime from like pop music to like indie, like, props to Taylor Swift. She made me and Jesse's year so much better. We're big Taylor Swift fans, and so that was some of the best stuff that happened in 2020 was the surprise. So grateful.
Yeah. All right. Here's, oh gosh. I'm gonna, yeah. Okay. Even though this technically released at the tail end, like in December of 2019, it really got very big in like January of 2020.
Okay.
The Witcher series on Netflix.
Okay.
That,
I'll give it to you.
That was a very much looked forward to series. It's easy to forget like it really started at the beginning of the year in 2020 because of all the other things that went on. But like it just popped back up again in my Netflix, like, hey, here's things you really enjoyed. I'm like, ooh,
right.
I really did enjoy it. I want to watch it again. And I know a second series is going to be on its way. Like The Witcher was a great adaptation of a book series that also has a video game series. So I don't really want to say an adaptation of a video game series because it's really from the books. But I mean, The Witcher with freaking Henry Cavill was amazing. And I'm looking forward to more of that. So that for me was good 2020. I know, but we're gonna say 2020.
Kinda. We'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Shout out to The Witcher.
Yep. Toss a coin to your Witcher.
I'll go with the fact that we got Hamilton moved up by from when they were planning on originally releasing it.
So good.
So shout out to Disney paying $1 bazillion to make it and moving it in their schedule to give it to us. That was another one of those, like, we knew what everyone was doing on the weekend of the 4th of July.
Yep.
Everyone was
Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah, and we got to do a podcast with our wives, which was super fun too.
Yeah, that was a good time.
In talking about it. So the fact that we got Hamilton as kind of a surprise gift, that was pretty cool. I was really excited about that. So that was another good on you 2020.
Yeah, 2020 didn't miss its shot there. Okay, here's my second to last good thing.
Yep.
That's going to be the DC Fandom event. I was not thinking that was going to be all that entertaining, and they dropped the trailer for the Batman that they have.
Oh, yeah.
They showed some of the video game stuff. They talked about some of the upcoming series and the Flash stuff. Like, it got me really excited about DC again, even though like DC's track record has been pretty rough in the movie department lately. The TV's been fine. Like they've been doing pretty well in their kind of TV stuff. But the DC Fandom event really, I mean, gosh, it made me for a hot minute want to watch the Snyder Cut version of Justice League.
Now that's saying a lot.
That is saying a lot. Now, of course, then Zack Snyder just continued to run his mouth throughout the rest of the year, and that went out. All the goodwill was gone from that.
Sure.
But the DC Fandom event was a really positive thing, and they gave us more than Marvel gave us as far as information this year. So the DC fandom event was very much a surprise. I liked
I
that.
forgot about it, to be honest, but I did like it. We talked about it.
Yeah,
Of course we did.
yeah. There was a lot of
Well, we
good
did.
stuff there.
Um, my final 2020 good on you is the fact that we got next gen consoles this year.
That was on my list too. Yep.
So we know that like it was rough and all of that, but they're here and they're powerful. And I have played the PlayStation 5 a little bit now. It's amazing.
Mm.
It-
Oh,
it- the we don't even have games, I feel like, quite yet that have been built from the ground up for next gen. Spider-Man 4 or Spider-Man 4, Spider-Man Miles Morales has been
right.
released on PS4, so it's not like it's,
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
are things like I can play 60 FPS with ray tracing, like that's pretty epic. And I love that. And the controller is out of this world. The best controller. And I'm a Nintendo fan and I love Pro controller, but this thing kicks the trash out of the Switch Pro controller.
Mm.
The whatever they call it, haptic feedback or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
whatever they want to call it on the incredible. It good job. I don't know anything about the Xbox stuff because I don't care for Xbox, but they
Yeah,
released it too, and I bet it's pretty good and
yeah,
powerful. So we got new consoles. That's cool.
yeah. That was on my list. It's not like the top.
Right.
I want to say an honorable mention here, real quickly, to the Sonic movie being as good as it was. Like,
So good.
I didn't expect that. So, a little honorable mention of that, real fast. But my last thing, um, and I think for me, the best of 2020, The Mandalorian season 2. That to me was the best of 2020. It was excellent, excellent, excellent Star Wars. We did a whole sidekick podcast on it again because we wanted to just talk about it and just like dig in on it, and it did not let up. It kept the amazingness at a high level through the entire season, and for me that was the best of 2020.
I can't disagree.
Yep.
Cannot and will not disagree. Excellent 2020.
Yep. So good 2020, bad 2020. Matt, what are a few things you're looking forward to in 2021? Just a little sneak peek.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the summer blockbusters,
Yep.
hopefully.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for like Top Gun 2. I'm looking for
Ooh,
Ghostbusters. Those are
yeah.
like two movies that I was so excited to see this year that got pushed way out.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to whether I see them in the theater or not, or they get simultaneous release. I don't really care. Basically, what I'm saying is if I don't get Ghostbusters in 2021, I will rip my own hair out and start a cult with my voodoo dolls that I make with it. I don't know, but I'm frustrated and I want Ghostbusters.
Yep. I forgot about Top Gun 2. I remembered Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yes.
One of my big things I'm looking forward to in 2021 is this next Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 3, whatever they're going to call it. Like, we
Is that
know,
2021?
yes, late 2021 they're saying, but
Holy cow.
it's 2021, and so like we know that there's going to be all sorts of craziness going on. We're talking about bringing back old Spider-Mans, old villains, like it has potential to be a really amazing movie. Spider-Man's one of my favorite Marvel characters. Always has been, if not my favorite Marvel character. So I'm really, really, really looking forward to that. Like I'm so pumped and psyched about this one. So bring it on. Let's get to that Spider-Man movie in 2021.
Heck yeah.
Mm.
Nice. All right. I'm going to go and this is kind of broad again because there's too much to say with it, but I'm
Sure.
going to go with Disney Plus shows. They announced so many shows. All the shows. So obviously the obvious shows are all the but there's
Yep.
other shows that I'm really interested in watching that are not Marvel or Star Wars related. that I can't wait for. I'm so glad to see them raising their game. But for me, shows like The Mighty Ducks, which I cannot express how excited I am to watch that.
Uh,
Or that show about John Stamos as like a women's basketball
oh
coach.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
all in.
yeah,
I'm all in on that.
yeah.
So I'm excited for the Disney Plus shows, what they're going to give us this year. They're doing good stuff. And I am so happy that in general, we're getting shows back. January is loaded with new content,
Yep.
just in general across the board. ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, everybody's getting back. Um, but Disney Plus is killing it in 2021, and I can't wait.
I specifically have on my list Loki.
Yeah, dude.
That of like all the Marvel shows. Like I'm looking forward to WandaVision. I'm looking forward to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But Loki,
Yeah,
that one. I mean,
yeah.
that's high on my list. That's one of the
Yes.
things I wrote down. Was like I can't wait to see Tom Hiddleston get back into character again as Loki and see what like I don't know what the heck is going on with that show, but like that has my attention. I think that's like May of 2021.
It's
So
soon.
like ooh, yes,
That's pretty soon.
in the world we're coming out of in 2020, 5 months from now in a somewhat ish normal year, that's going to go by just like a blink of an eye. So I'm looking forward to that.
We
Oh,
had 2 other Marvel shows before it. We're gonna get like
I know.
shows every week right up until.
I will also say
happy.
to kind of tack back on to like the TV shows, movies coming back, like things that I'm looking forward to. The Dune movie and the Uncharted movie, and then Cobra Kai as far as a show. To kind of
Yeah.
tie back in with those other things.
Yeah.
Those are some other kind of like ancillary stuff that I'm really excited for. But I got one last one that I'm going to hold back. Matt, what do you have for your final thing?
The hopeful return of the Olympics.
That's a good one.
I am really, really hoping. I think we'll have it. I think we'll have it. I don't know if it'll be like when they plan it in like, June or July. It might be a little bit later.
Yeah.
But with vaccines out there, I feel like there's no reason we can't get, by the time that summer rolls around, the greatest athletes in the world safe and vaccinated. So I'm hoping for an exciting Olympics in 2021.
I like that.
Can you really imagine a better time now?
No.
Like, what a miracle it would be to see that. Am I right? The whole world traveling and getting together to compete.
Yep.
Not just a unified country, but a unified world at that point after what we've been through. So let's just hope and pray that we can make it to that point, that we're able to do that safely.
Yep. I love that. My last one. Book of Boba Fett. I mean, it's Star Wars. If they're going to continue on with the way the character was the second season of The Mandalorian, you got Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. They're going to be executive producing. Robert Rodriguez is going to be writing and directing this show. Like, we're getting was an unexpected, unplanned for spin-off show that was announced at the very tail end of this season, The Mandalorian. Like, I am all on board for that. I mean, oh gosh, like it just excites me. I'm just so excited to see what they're going to do with this character. Is this show going to be like a crime syndicate kind of show set now in the Star Wars universe? I'm down for seeing something like that. Like, it just, there's so many possibilities of things that they can do in this show and ways they can tie it into the other Star Wars shows that are going to be out there now. Like, bring that on. Like, just give it to me.
Agreed.
I'm excited.
Totally agreed.
Oh, Matt, I really do feel like we've got a lot of good things that did happen in 2021 to go along with a lot of the bad, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff, and I know there's a laundry list of stuff that is going to happen in 2021, and as this global pandemic will wind down, and as vaccines will become more readily available, I think we're going to see all facets of life starting to return back to to normal. I mean, obviously movies and TV shows and video games and sports and, you know, family gatherings and holidays, and like I think there's so much good that's coming up on the horizon that we're just barely starting to get a glimpse of now, that I am excited for this new year 2021.
Can't wait, man. Let's just have it happen. It starts off so good. I literally made an Excel spreadsheet last night with Jesse on the shows
To plan your
when
shows.
There's like 8 shows we have to watch in January.
I love that.
I mean, it's we are just so happy to get back to at least an entertainment normalcy. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yep. Love it. Love it. All right, super friends, here's the thing. Here's the question of the week. To kick off this new year of 2021, what are you excited for in 2021? There's a lot going on. There's a lot coming up. We just gave you a little tiny preview of what we're looking forward to, but we want to hear from you. So, at all the usual places, and I'll say this again, you know this, super friends, but if you're new, welcome in, and I'm glad you're here, but you can send us an email at fortofnerd@gmail.com. You can get us on Facebook, facebook.com/fortofnerd. You can get us on Twitter @fortofnerd. We're on Instagram, fortofnerd. We have a Discord, fortofnerd on Discord. You can even call in the voicemail number and leave us a voicemail at 801-477-7687, and we do play those when we get those. So plenty of ways in 2021 to get a hold of us. We are available. We want to hear from you. We want to talk with you. That Discord has been, really starting to get going with lots of people coming in and chatting and talking about things, and I'm excited. And then of course I stream on Twitch pretty much 5 nights a week, and that's twitch.tv/surprise surprise Fort of Nerd. So get on board, come in here, get us those answers. What are you excited for in 2021? And we'll talk about those next week. Matt, it's been a heck of a 2020. I'm glad that we did this together. But let's kick this off right, and let's start 2021, positive and happy, and let's make this next year even better than 2020.
I'm in.
All right, sounds good. I love everything there. Okay, super friends, from all of us here at the Fortress of Nerditude to all of you out there wherever you may be, may the Force be with you always.